Mm. Good night, viewers. Good night. I was just going through an article, and I think most of us Jamaicans would be very pleased to know some of the facts. Let me read. How Jamaicans are being erased from the battle for immigration rights. A Sun Star is also a Star by Nicola Yoon is not your typical teenager love story. Natasha, a young Jamaican girl living in New York, met Daniel, a young Asian boy, on the day she's set to be deported back to Jamaica. Their instant love story is a major theme of the book. However, her deportation is the overarching issues instantly presented in the pack of a protagonist, Natasha Head, as she tries not to fall in love with Daniel. Immigration has been a major issue of discussing leading up to the election of the 45th President Donald Trump. However, with more focus being on the effect of changing laws to the Latinx community, other undocumented Caribbean immigrants seems to be marginalized. Although Caribbean people have not been the face of immigration, this is our fight as well. An article in the Jamaica Star revealed that over the past 10 years, about 20,000 Jamaicans were deported back to the island from the United States. The Gleaner estimated that approximately 67,000 Jamaicans living in the U.S. are likely to return home as the United States cracked down on immigration. Growing up, stories of people who got dipped, Jamaican terms used for individuals who are deported back to the country, were common, and years later some resources are needed for undocumented immigration abroad and abroad. Natasha is described as a 17-year-old high school senior with a passion for science and hoping to attend a local college in New York to eventually pursue a career in physics. Natasha's family came to America on a traveling visa when she was 8 years old, where they ran off, a Jamaican term used to explain undocumented immigrants coming to America who don't return to the island after their travel visa expired. The family lived on a low-key, low-style for many years in the pursuit of the American dreams. For Natasha's father, this is a successful career in theater and better opportunity for his children. Natasha, on the other hand, is just on the brink of discovering her own dreams. Due to an incident, authorities were alerted that Natasha and her family are undocumented immigrants, and they are subsequently sentenced to deportation. For almost a decade, Natasha had grown up to call the U.S. home, but she soon realized that this second home will forcibly send her back to the place of birth she no longer knows anything about. Though Jamaican by birth, she has to start all over again on an island where she is now a foreigner. Many others in Natasha's shoes, though, have been able to benefit from the Defraud Action of Children Arrival, that's the DACA, a program created to help undocumented immigrants go to college in the USA. There have been several instances where families from the Caribbean have benefited from their involvement in the program. In particular, the story of a Jamaican born Aislinn Carlton, who was an approved DACA recipient and continued her education at a local college. Cherise Wright, a young woman who has been advocating for herself and others during the rally against the ending of the DACA, spoke at a rally on the step of the U.S. Supreme Court in April of 2016. Wright immigrated to the United States at the age of 4 from the Bahamas. Over 17 years later, she was still undocumented despite many efforts to obtain a green card. We as undocumented people living in this country feel jailed, Wright shared with the NBC in an interview. DACA was enacted under the 44th president, that was Barack Obama, in 2012, to help young people brought to the United States as undocumented children receive immunity from deportation and to be able to start businesses, work, and to go to school. To qualified candidates as to arrive in the U.S. in 2007 prior to their 16th birthday, have no prior criminal record, and be currently enrolled in or honorable discharge from school or military, among other requirements. DACA allow young people to live and work legally in the USA, with the recipient being able to renew their DACA status every 2 years. Wow. Obtaining a traveling visa is a covered document by some Jamaicans hoping to experience life in another country. Stigma surrounding deportation also places added stress on undocumented immigrants living in the US and the UK. Buju Banton's 1993 song Deportee addresses immigrants whose criminal offense led to their deportation back to the island. However, similar sentiments can be heard regarding undocumented immigrants who are deported home. And it is important to note that not all undocumented immigrants deported have committed a crime. A workshop conducted by the University of the West Indies, UWI, on men and women deported from Canada, US, and the UK expressed that the word deportee has a negative connotation which hindered an asylum back into Jamaican society. Since the beginning of the program, there has been 800,000 recipients, and unfortunately, the current president has decided to end the program, putting many undocumented immigrants under its protection at risk for deportation. If the DCA program is allowed to continue, experts believe that it will help nearly 1.3 million young people to stay in the country. Past DACP recipients have gone on to earn degree and work in a multitude of professions. Young people, much like Yoon, character Natasha, have been given the opportunity to work, go to school, and achieve their version of the American dream. Jonathan J. Green, co-creator of Undocumented Blacks, an organization advocating for undocumented people of color told NBC that their mission is to blackify the undocumented immigration narrative as representation is needed during the fight against ending DACA. While immigration law in the United States changes, it is important to support our fellow Jamaicans and other undocumented immigrants. For most immigrants moving to a new country, it is an act of faith. To remove yourself from your own language, people, and country, like Star Natasha and her family, many immigrants leave their comfort zone in the pursuit of an American dream, but are greeted with the difficulties of becoming a citizen. Here are some ways to help undocumented immigrants. Learn about immigration rights. The National Immigrant Justice Center can educate you on how to react in circumstances where undocumented immigrants are stopped by the police. The Immigrant Defense Project also creates a series of Know Your Rights videos that can help prepare for an encounter with ICE. Number 2, find out if you live in a sanctuary city. Sanctuary cities protect undocumented immigrants from deportation. If you aren't in a sanctuary city, work with local government to make your city a sanctuary city. Number 3, call your local and state politicians. The Global Citizen website has a baseline script you can use for what to say. 4, volunteer. Research local programs that assist undocumented immigrants in your town. This is a great way to interact with families affected by immigrations. Number 5, donate. Every little counts in helping support these families. Many of these programs use the proceeds to mobilize protests, sheltering undocumented immigrants, lobbying politicians by policy change, research local and global organizations to donate to like Undoc Blacks that work to protect undocumented people of color. Jamaicans and all immigrants, like you have heard, when we move into a country, don't just go there and sit down and act as if you have reached. You don't reached. The journey has just begun. It's full time that we learn that in your own country, Jamaican would say a yard. But when you go abroad, many times you have to dance like how they live abroad. You are still foreigner. It's not only when they come to Jamaica, they are foreigners. When you go to their country, you're a foreigner even more. Get settled. Get settled. Try and abide by laws. Don't go and make your own rules. Get a job. Seek to make your papers legal. Ask questions. Don't just go sit down and depend on woman or man to mind you. It no work. Jamaican, step up. You don't see what happen. Many more are going, is not only the 66 what we just see the other day. Hold it more there. And them a go dump we if we not change our ways. Enough respect. Keep the faith. But try to do it right. Jamaican attack to Jamaicans.